Assalamu alaikum to all the viewers of Pakistan and hello to all the overseas viewers who have been watching us. And today we're going to talk about grand finale which is going to happen on Super Sunday. That is Australia taking on New Zealand. And as you are all aware that today I have one guest for now. Most likely a couple of people will join in between. So Ibrahim, who will be the part of our sessions on and off in the World Cup and very regular member. Ibrahim, thank you once again and thanks for joining.
Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. So Ibrahim, starting with 16 teams, now cut down to only 2 teams, and one team eventually will be the winner and will be considered as the king of T20 World Cup. And surprisingly, now we have like a new champion, as you mentioned a couple of days back as well, while our WhatsApp discussion, that right now we have a new champion because neither Australia nor New Zealand have won this World Cup before. So this is the chance both the countries to represent their nations and get the first World Cup T20. So starting from semi-final and the road there, how Australia and how New Zealand reaches this stage, the semi-final and followed by final. If you see, as you also added me on WhatsApp with the cricket analyst group, we have a discussion a lot that Aussies are not that much favorite right from the start. We all have a mutual consensus on that Aussies are not that much favorite, even though I remember that we are mainly favoriting South Africa from that group. But I told on repetitive time that Australians are mentally very tough and they can, on their day, they can be demolish any opposition. So how you think that Australia rode to semi-final and yesterday they beat Pakistan to get their place in the final? Then we will discuss New Zealand side as well. First, starting with Australia.
Australia, I think they showed they were mentally tough and they managed to win a few key moments and cover a lot of the errors. They made quite a bit of mistakes yesterday's game, but they managed to cover those mistakes and pull through and win the game at the end.
Yeah, Ibrahim, big match. Definitely there's a pressure, a game of nerves. Definitely Pakistan also dropped a crucial catch, Hassan Ali, which dropped. And not specifically Pakistan, Australia also dropped few critical catches in lights of Steve Smith, which is a very safe and secure fielder. So the pressure was definitely there. But when it comes to final, Australia and New Zealand already played so many finals, not in specifically from T20 format, but if you talk about New Zealand, they are very consistent. Starting from 2015 World Cup, the same sides were in like final, Australia and New Zealand. When we talk about 2019 World Cup 50 overs, England and New Zealand final. When we talk about ICC Champions Test Championship, again India and New Zealand are in final. So New Zealand are quite consistent when it comes to the bigger part of the game, that is the grand finale. But Aussies are also like I think 4 to 5 times World Cup winners, the 50 overs cricket, and now they get a chance. So if I analyze overall New Zealand road to the final, it's very straightforward approach. Only one defeat, that's against Pakistan, which was obviously a favorite team to win, but cricket, it happens. But now Australia have only lost one match, that's 2 against England, and New Zealand also lost only one match, that's against Pakistan. So it's even Steven. And before going to the final, like on 14, head-to-head, I was just reviewing that New Zealand has been judged this 3-2 New Zealand for the last 5 encounters. So how you will analyze this New Zealand side? I can see that New Zealand like cool as cucumber and they're very calm. Their captain is quite relaxed and the way they approach the game is very simple. I'm not seeing that too much hitting at the very start. They have a player like Guptill. In the past, we've seen Brendan McCullum, who will have an explosive start. But with this current team, they are very calm. They get the relax and get the like momentum at the very last stage. If you talk about the semi-final, they were like pretty relaxed throughout the innings. But at the end, Mitchell Marsh and Jimmy Neesham just turned it around and get an easy walk in the park for reaching the final. So how do you rate New Zealand walk their journey towards semi-final and then they beat the hot favorite England to reach the final? Your comments?
I think New Zealand is a very cool and calm team. They don't rely on certain big name players like Williamson and Guptill to perform all the time. The other players stand up and take responsibility, like in the semi-final, Daryl Mitchell and Neesham, and Conway as well. Conway, when he was hitting, Daryl Mitchell was just rotating the strike and making sure that the ball keeps on ticking while Conway was getting boundaries. And then after that, when he got a partnership with Neesham, and both started hitting boundaries and they took the game away from England.
And yes, it's a big blow for New Zealand. Conway's, I think, now ruled out from the World Cup due to some injury. If you heard the news, so
Yeah.
that will be the crucial part in New Zealand middle order, because Conway has like quite impact in New Zealand lineup right now. We will discuss that later on.
Yeah.
So Ibrahim, we talk about like in terms of prediction, the team analysis, the best playing 11. Both teams have been experiencing final before, not specifically T20 again. I'm repeating, but they are used to of this type of facing each other, and there is also a very good revenge battle between those sides. We can expect a very good thriller. So if being a South African and being a Pakistani, me myself, how do you basically think that which team has slight edge over the other side?
I think Australia.
And the particular
Australia
reason?
because
Yeah.
Australia because of the way they playing their cricket at the moment. They're not worried about the wickets falling. They're just going for the runs and making sure that they get a good score on the ball. And their bowlers are coming and peaking at the right moment. At the moment they're coming into their strides.
Yeah, momentum certainly with Australia, and we have seen in the past that in crucial and knockout stages, they have come very hard. Irrespective of the opposition, we seen yesterday Pakistan is a very commanding position after putting 176 on the board. Pressure was on Aussies, and the start of Aussies was not that much good. They lost their captain Aaron Finch at the very start, Shiner Fedi, and after that, couple of great deliveries to Mitch Marsh as well. But the partnership 50 odd, then the momentum shift to Aussies, then Pakistan breakthrough again. But Aussies never give up approach. That can definitely help them to definitely reach the final. And obviously, as far as prediction is concerned, even though I'm a bit sporting Black Caps a bit, but as far as prediction is concerned, I'm also thinking the same, like you mentioned, that Aussies have slight edge over Kiwis. So Kangaroos definitely have impact, and I have also gut feeling that it's a good match, and chances are there that might be Australia will take this World Cup. But Ibrahim, if you've gone through before World Cup, two teams which will be badly beaten by side Bangladesh, who have lost their all the 5 matches in this World Cup. Australia went to the Bangladesh, they lost. New Zealand went to the Bangladesh, even though there is not full member side, the B team, you may say that, but even though respecting their national side. So, I mean, was that pitch that much difficult in Bangladesh that both teams of Bangladesh are very strong in their country, because Pakistan have to travel Bangladesh right away, like after World Cup 19, we have a match. I'm not discussing that too much, but just asking that international side, the venue and the pitches are too much different that one team is losing 5-0 in the backyard of Bangladesh, and suddenly World Cup appears, they rank number 7th Australian, and now they're playing finals. What's theory behind that?
I think Bangladesh took advantage of their home conditions, and they prepared pitches like how they prepared for the Test series, really spin friendly, which helped them win. So not many people looked into that series because of the way the conditions were during that series, because they knew that Australia and New Zealand would bounce back, and probably in UAE, Bangladesh would be the team to struggle, because the conditions are not going to be as so heavily spin friendly as it was in Bangladesh.
Yeah, but I'm surprised to see there is no Asian side apart from Pakistan as a semis. India is a big name. Bangladesh is a good performance. Sri Lanka, we may say that it's not is a rebuilding process after the retirement of their few players. But considering UAE, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, it's surprising for you to see the two overseas team in the finals.
No, not really.
Not really, because definitely they played a lot of IPL and other fixtures there, so they are used to. Early on, there was a condition, and so many people are rating Pakistan because of their home ground, and they have been like 16 to 17 consecutive wins in a row, and the performance of Babar and Rizwan. So anyhow, that was yesterday, and we have to move forward. So if you talk about Ibrahim, T20s mostly say that it's a batsman game. You have to like too many boundaries, 4s and 6s. But when we see the bowling strength of both Australia and New Zealand, it's a very, very, very like tough to ask that which bowling department will be more good, because there we have Tim Southee, Trent Boult, Milne, then centre in the bowling, and we have like Phillips somewhat batting a bowling, a mix of both. Then we comes to Aussie side, we have like Stark, we have like Mitch Marsh a bit over, then we have like Cummins. So how do you rate the fast bowling of Aussies, the pace attack? Which team has edge over the bowling? Because batting is more or less consistent. They have Guptill, they have Warner, Williamson, then they have Smith. So we will discuss batting later, but when it comes to bowling, because toss will definitely play a very vital role.
Bowling, I think at the moment it's evenly matched. Although at the moment, if you look at it, New Zealand have two spinners, two frontline spinners. Australia are playing with one frontline spinner and one part-time spinner. So maybe if it's a bit slower and spinning, then New Zealand will have the edge. But if it's assisting the seamers, then it's going to be a 50-50.
Okay, so we have seen the World Cup 2015, if I recall that, I think New Zealand got bundled out of, I think 151. They batted first and Aussies chased that.
180. 180.
2015 World Cup, I guess.
Yeah, 180. They got bundled out for 180.
Okay, I just got a feeling that is something like 150, but might be you're correct, it's 180, even though it's a bit modest considering the T20 tournament. So definitely pace attack matters, as you mentioned that currently the pace attack is balanced and the sides are evenly poised as far as fast bowling is concerned. And New Zealand basically going with two spinners and Aussies have only one spinner. When it comes to batting, there are big names in Aussies. Yesterday we seen that David Warner is a very explosive opener. When it gets on his day, he can be like devastating and can turn the game around in within 6 overs. Then they have Steve Smith, their captain Aaron Finch. A big innings due to Aaron Finch because this World Cup is not that much good for the Aaron Finch so far. So do you think that Aussies batting lineup is very pressure sustainable as compared to Kiwis? Because Kiwis, as you mentioned, also I said the same, that very cool and calm. They know the game, where to change gear. In contrast to Aussies, they are aggressive in nature. They come hard to you right from the first ball. So when it comes to batting, I personally think that Australia, as far as aggression is concerned, is a bit ahead of New Zealand.
Definitely Australia is ahead of New Zealand because they like to come at you and play the fast game, and they like to score as quick as possible. And they've got the hitters also at the back to back them because they've got Stoinis, they got Wade, and they got Cummings at the bottom, which gives them the confidence on top to go hard from the start. Whereas New Zealand, I don't think have that much.
True. But Ibrahim, to be honest,
to
be honest, you were expecting the Matthew Wade to be finished the innings like that yesterday innings, because I want to see the Matthew Wade like 360s to shine with you. I was really surprised at how it comes, and I mean he's not aggressive by nature. Even though I know that in big bash leagues he's like a very prominent figure, and I like a review from the few of the analysts that he's a very hard hitter. But I personally can't see him hitting like that. So do you have an idea about that Wade is that caliber of a batsman which he like possessed innings yesterday?
Yeah, I knew he could hit, he could play those shots. But again, Big Bash is an opening batsman. He's not
true
finisher. True. So Australia were trying him at the bottom, especially with the full strength team. And they've been backing him with that role. And I think it's just the backing, and he came good yesterday.
Okay, so if you talk about Ibrahim, the latest T20 rankings, New Zealand, I think, as I said, 3rd spot, and Aussies are in 7th spot, if I'm not wrong. So will there be the
jump to 6?
Yeah, jump to 6 or 7, not that much big deal. So if that will be the like back end of the mind, or it is the final, you will do your level best representing your nation, or won't be it affect that New Zealand have slight edge keeping ranking in mind? But considering final, is this matter, or that will be just like on papers?
I think it will matter if the ICC then announced the direct qualifications for next year. Next year. But they've already finalized it. But Australia wouldn't have been affected anyways because they're the host.
Yeah, Australian definitely the host. It doesn't matter in that way. So coming back to the toss factor.
It could have mean that even being the host, they would have had to play the qualifier. They slipped under 8.
But I don't think so. Australia will be slipped to 8 because they currently at 6, and definitely if they get a chance to win the tournament, so definitely there is a 1 to 2 step booster as well. They can be hit top 5.
Yeah, but I think also the fact that ICC also decided that the 4 teams that made the semi-final this year, they're definitely going to be in the Super 12 next year. So I think rankings went out once the 4 teams made the semi-finals. So I don't think that's going to have too much of an effect.
Yes, that's a pretty valid point. So I was just talking about the toss element. We have seen the couple of semifinals that bowling team, whoever with the toss will like to bowl first, and chasing is getting easier because the ball gets wet. It's not getting the proper out of the hands. We see some drop catches in Pakistan side. Mohammad Hafiz ball, a dead ball, so-called a no ball, and David Warner like hits out of the park. So how do you think that, keeping the final in mind, do you also think the same, that whoever's team win the toss, captain will like to the ball first, and eventually 50% of the match have been won at that time? Or it can be a like different story tomorrow or day after tomorrow?
Looking at Abu Dhabi and Dubai, the teams chasing have been winning. It's more in Sharjah where teams defending have won.
And final to be played in? And final to be played in Abu Dhabi?
Play in Dubai.
Dubai, okay.
Dubai. So I think they might just win the toss and bowl first.
And
it's a high chance.
And you also think that 50% of the match has been sealed at that time? Or it's early to say?
No, I would make it maybe 30% because it depends on the bowling performance. It might change on the day.
Okay,
if I ask, first can always win.
Yeah, if I ask you to basically name couple of players from the Kiwi side and couple from the Aussie side who can be a star on that, but even though we can match against Pakistan, we were naming Maxwell, David Warner, Aaron Fish, a big name, but certainly out of nowhere, Matthew Wade became a hero. So how do you think, keeping final, that which particular individuals from both the sides you think can be a match winner on a particular day? We have seen that New Zealand, Marsh, I think the one-down player who basically moved the winning shot for the New Zealand the last semis against England, which he was not timing the ball properly. But at the later part of the inning, he got the momentum and he shot the gates and become a hero. So how do you think that, who are the individuals, who will be the individuals who can play and do some extraordinary cricket and play a match-winning role from their respective nations?
From New Zealand, Glenn Phillips and Nisham. I think Phillips might get the chance to bat at 4 in the final, and Nisham also might get a chance at 5, depending on who they bring. If they bring Tim Seifert in to be the wicketkeeper, then obviously the two will slot up one place up. So then they two could make match-winning innings, and then again Darryl Mitchell again. And from Australia, Mitchell Marsh.
So both Marsh or Mitchell, both Mitchells are turning it on from your side.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we're gonna wind up not that much. It's open to ask viewer as well, because it's not like specifically that I'm hosting the show. If you have a question or you want to add something, you are always open to suggest your video or suggest. So just a recap of the World Cup. Ibrahim, which teams from associate team like Namibia or somewhat like non-playing nations who don't have test care has impressed you the most?
I think Namibia. But the way they played and then the way they made it to after how Sri Lanka beat them in the first game, the way they bounced back and then made it to the Super 12, and then they managed to beat Scotland there. After that, they still were a bit competitive, but the stronger teams, obviously, showed the skill level.
And Namibia have so many South Africans as well, like David Visa, and I also like a couple of names as well. What is the specific reason of that? Is South Africa very much close to Namibia being what's the reason behind that?
A neighboring country. Namibia is a neighboring country for South Africa.
Might be that. So it's very easy if the Proteas are not playing specific players, not fulfilling their place in the playing 11 of South Africa or playing 15, they can put to Namibia. Because if you talk about Pakistan, India, neighboring countries, nothing like that. We have Clash of the Titans. We can't say that go and play with them.
No, I think these players in that team have moved to Namibia. They're living in Namibia. They're no more here in the South African system. The only one, if you can point out, is David Visa, who used his father's side of the family's relatives to get quick residency and make himself available.
Okay. So in a one sentence, Ibrahim, how was that World Cup? I hope you enjoyed it, because we are regular in touch in that it was pleasure talking to you on and off on the WhatsApp, sometime on YouTube. You are the only guy who is ready to every time. And for my viewers, that I'm repeating again, Ibrahim is one of my close buddy. We have met in the World Cup, and we have good friends. We have a friend circle of few other people. And I want you again to basically subscribe to Ibrahim channel. It's not World Cup. We will engage in other series. Pakistan, Bangladesh is coming, and Pakistan, South Africa. Whatever the series that will be, Ibrahim will be with us for now. Ibrahim, if you can mention your name, channel name again to the viewers, so that they can subscribe your channel, because from my platform I've got a very huge number of subscribers and get good response from around the globe, not specifically Pakistan. So please listen carefully what Ibrahim is saying regarding his channel. Do do subscribe and spread within your circle. Ibrahim, please, over to you.
My channel's name is EV Sport Talk, and we're going to review the series probably now after the World Cup. We'll look at India versus South Africa. Might look at a little bit of South Africa versus Netherlands. and then a bit of, I think there's Bangladesh and Pakistan, and there is India New Zealand series also happening.
So being a South
And then
African,
we
if any viewers from South Africa or any overseas players who want to get updates of the latest cricket, Ibrahim is a very right guy to watch the videos, because I personally see his content. He's doing a fabulous job right now, and keep subscribing his channel. He's promoting, he's a cricket lover, and we in a cricketing fraternity likes to promote each other channels, and he's just like my friend, my brother. So I will request you all to subscribe his channel, help him to grow his channel, and he is provide you a very good latest updates. His predictions is very up to the mark for the World Cup. So Ibrahim, one final thought, then we have to wind up, and hopefully inshallah we will pursue these sessions, even India and South Africa. I will come to your channel if you invite me, and definitely likewise to my channel. I will keep you inviting every now and then. You are one of the famous guests as well. So final thoughts, are we going with Australia tomorrow or day after tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going with Australia to win.
Okay, so with final thoughts of Ibrahim, that I also think that Aussies have slid over New Zealand. Time will tell, but it was fantastic World Cup. The 40 odd matches, and we have been from the past 1 month, we have been conducting sessions for very nice to see. Ibrahim, one final question: who will be the player of the tournament?
Player of the tournament, Mohammad Rizwan or Babar Azam.
Yeah, I was also seeing the same. In terms of runs, Babar is slight ahead of Rizwan. I think 303 for Bazam, 281 for Rizwan. But Rizwan has played some exception. And considering he was in ICU a couple of days back, went to the team, playing for his nation, and doing a fabulous job of scoring highest runs. So again, with this prayer that World Cup ended on a very good note, and we will follow the cricket sessions. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.
Assalamu alaikum.